Gosh, a few things I do want to touch on. So Wednesday night is a fight night, I believe. So we're kind of honoring different organizations around our community, which I've obviously become immersed in a little bit myself, learning about Greg Jackson, the history of Johnny Tapia, and many other important people to this community in different ways. So I think that's kind of a neat initiative that will be going on Wednesday night. And I believe it's also faculty and staff appreciation night. So they get discount on tickets, which hopefully will be a cool event for them as well, and just bringing different parts of our community together. I know at different times we all seem to be kind of competing with each other or just at odds over maybe scarce resources and things of that nature. And some of those conversations are good and really good ones to have, but I hope it doesn't spill over into just the feelings towards each other. And we feel, or I definitely feel, warm towards not only the fighting community, but also faculty and staff. And hopefully them coming to Lobo basketball is a good thing for both sides of the aisles. There's something, Anthony Mathis. Anthony won't be practicing today. His status long-term is fine. Short-term over the next week or so is something I'm going to have to monitor. The medical staff told me that they didn't necessarily feel like holding him out would make a drastic improvement to his injury. So I've yet to hold him out. You can get it if you need to, Henry. So I've yet to actually hold Anthony out of anything significant, definitely a game, but I think we can all see as he's out there, he just doesn't look the way we would want him to. So I kind of told the staff after the Nevada game that maybe he just does need some rest for a while, even though from their perspective that might not make an immediately great impact. It might be something that I just want to do for my own comfort level to see if we can get him back to 100% as quickly as possible. And we're going to kind of work on that here over the next few days and just kind of see what that ends up kind of meaning to his injury. So that's kind of his status. That's a little bit about Wednesday night. We're obviously practicing today, tomorrow, and getting into Wednesday's game. A team we have not played yet this year. They've got good size and will do some things that we haven't seen much of. They do play a lot of zone. We haven't seen a lot of zone this year, so we are going to kind of work on that. And we're also just working on ourselves and continuing to kind of work through that process of trying to find the best team that we can be in order to be the best team we can be. And we'll continue to work on that here in practice between now and Wednesday night.
Can you elaborate on Anthony's injury?
Yeah, bruised tailbone. Took a charge in practice. I'd like to say, when did we play San Diego State? I would have been early last week. Finished the rest of practice, felt it a little bit. Got up the next day, and I think we realized it was a little bit more serious. He was stiff, really wanted to play. Played against San Diego State, but you could tell he was not moving and doing the things we really wanted him to do. Checked it out with the doctors, did all those things. They felt it would take a couple of weeks to just get back to normal and just monitor him. So we held him out of one practice going into the Nevada game. But I think in that game, I didn't really see enough progress with him kind of bouncing back to say, you know what, maybe we need to shut him down more than what we're doing right now. So that's what we're going to do here for the next few days and just kind of see how it goes.
The fact that San Jose State does play a lot of zone, is there, I know you said the doctor said that it would hurt if you play him. Is that right?
From my understanding, due to the nature of the injury, I've been told that just getting someone to permanently rest or just, sit as opposed to doing some activity doesn't make a drastic improvement for what he has. This is just a time thing that eventually will hopefully dissipate.
So the zone part of San Jose State then, there's not like an extra temptation for you to play a shooter.
For sure. No, it's something that's crossed my mind. I'll be honest with you. I think what I in retrospect, should have done, in hindsight's 2020, is even going to the Nevada game saying, "Don't look, we need to just shut." And I even told him this morning, this isn't about the next game. This isn't about whatever. This is about you and you getting healthy and you getting to 100% as quickly as we possibly can. So if I had to do it all over again, I might have just sat him for that game. But given the nature of it, given his competitiveness, how much he wanted to play, I don't think that was really going to be an option. He still feels that way right now, but I wanted to step in for now anyways, and just we need to get him back 100%.
Coach, along with getting him healthy, how intrigued are you to see how the rest of the team would respond if he were to sit again?
We'll see. I mean, I think we have a lot of our own, enough of our own issues right now that whether he's in or he's out, we have a lot of work to do. I think that's been clear here really over the course of the season as coaches, as players, and as a team. We've just got to keep growing and get better in general, and then also just keep finding the perfect version of us. And that's something that with or without Anthony, we're working on every single day. Ideally, this will open up doors for potentially other guys if Anthony doesn't play, either this game or the next game or however many games it happens to be. But for now, we just have to kind of keep working and growing on us, independent of maybe an injury to him or anybody else.
Coach, what's the deep morale of your team? Do you have that let's go get them, rah, 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 let's go fight hard attitude throughout your roster?
I think we do. I don't want to sit here and definitively say in my heart of hearts, I know we have all that. We have it, and we've shown it. We've shown it at times in good times. We've shown it in bad times. We just haven't shown it consistently enough, and I think that's where we have to continue to chip away at this. We being coaches, we being the leadership of the team, and keep working on getting guys to just slowly kind of work their way over to that side and say, yeah, we're going to embody that all the time, not just certain times. And I don't want to say just good times, because there's times even against San Diego State, even against Utah State, we've had some games where it was like, how are we going to respond to this? And we have had that attitude, and we have bounced back, and we have fought back into games. So it's not just a winning-losing thing. It's just kind of it's just a moment thing, and just trying to get more guys just looking at it the right way.
Did that early part of the game at Nevada intimidate the Lobos, scare you a little bit?
I didn't feel that way during the game. I thought watching the film maybe more so, and I think watching the film, watching those first, I'm just going to say 9 or 10 minutes, it wasn't, there was a lot of things that we've talked about not doing and practice not doing and shown not doing that reemerge in moments like that. And I think maybe the nature of that game pulled some of those things out. I hope it's that. It has to be that in order for us to be a good basketball team.
Coach, I got here
Yep.
late. Sounds like Anthony's out. How long?
Yeah, I just told these guys, he has a bruised tailbone. It happened before the San Diego State game. He played against San Diego State. He played against Nevada. I don't like where we're at now compared to when the injury started. So we're just kind of talking about more aggressive rest options in order to get him back to 100%. This will be the first time he didn't go yesterday. He's not going to go today. He's probably not going to go tomorrow. We're just going to try and give him some rest and see what the response is. If it's the same thing of not improving at a great rate, well, then it just becomes a judgment call between really Anthony, me, and the docs as far as what's the best way to go forward with this. But I'm just trying to get him back to 100% the best way I can.
You plan on playing him, just try to rest him?
I don't know yet. As I'm saying, we're gonna rest him and just see kind of what kind of impact this has, on his injury.
Coach, this might put you on the spot. I don't know, but expectations. I started going through the whole team and thinking, who's really exceeded expectations or even met that goal? I couldn't find anybody, maybe Bragg. Can you tell me am I right, or for the whole year, I just can't see Maybe.
Yeah, I think offensively, it's probably as much me as it is anybody. Offensively, we just have a lot of guys who aren't having great years right now. And I talked about that, I think, the last time we met. Like, we're looking at all these top players in our conference, and right now we have one in the top. Now it's 46. So, we have one guy who I think offensively is having a good year, and unfortunately, just a lot of other guys that are it hasn't really quite clicked. And whether that's an individual thing, whether that's a coaching thing, whether that's a schematic thing, or just some kind of combination of all of those, it really doesn't matter. We've got to find a way to get through it. And I've gone back in history. I've looked at who plays together, who starts, who doesn't start. Like, I've looked at everything to try and see if there's some trends or some things I can pull to get a guy going or get multiple guys going. And there's just we're keeping a looking at all of them. We've just yet to really get something. I think they've shown it in flashes. I think Keith McGee's had some great stretches in flashes. I think McQuatch has had some like individual games. Like, wow, that's the kid we wanted. I think Vance Jackson, particularly in that early part of the year, was having some really good games, but just getting them all together at once, playing well, we've just yet to kind of do it. So that's something that obviously, ends up on my plate more so than anybody's, but really nothing we can do other than just keep working at it, keep practicing, keep shooting, keep trying to find the right recipe to kind of get them going individually and then also collectively.
What'd you tell them after the game Saturday?
Really, all I've talked about since that game is keeping a tremendously positive attitude and a great work ethic, and that's really all we can control. We can't always control how well we play, what shot goes in or doesn't go in, what call you get or don't get, what loose ball bounces your way or doesn't, and we can't control that for the other team either. So there are times things are going to happen in the game, but we can control our attitude and we can control how hard we work. And I want to make sure we maintain that as we continue to work on, the on-court execution of things. And told them that again yesterday. We'll tell them that again today. It's really easy right now to stop working and or get negative. And I don't want that to be us. I want to just keep a really good attitude and a really good work ethic and just grind this thing out the old-fashioned way. It's not pretty. It's not something they're used to. It's not something a lot of people like to do. When something doesn't go your way, you want to complain or you want to just give up or you want to do whatever. But the hard thing to do and the real-life thing to do is put your head down, go back to work, say it's not going to happen again, and just keep grinding. And that's all I'm trying to at least, impress upon them that that's the appropriate response right now. And if we can do that, then I still think we can accomplish good things.
Have you already seen some of that, like where maybe it was tougher at the beginning of the year or whatever, something, like where you've gotten a reward out of something because of the adversity?
I don't know, because this is quite honestly the first time I've ever done this. I've usually been a pretty hard person and a pretty pessimistic might be the wrong word, but always looking, to fix something that's wrong, and I think I did that definitely in the early part of the year. And as I reflected on it, maybe that wasn't the best way to approach this team, this group, this situation that we were kind of faced with. And I might have made things worse by not maybe taking on the approach I am now, and I'm hopeful that this will work. I'm trying to feel it myself and espouse it myself and get them to feel the same way and just have our team start to think and feel that way. Because the way I was doing it earlier, which is the way I'd done it for the last however many years of coaching, that was the way I always went about coaching. It wasn't really quite connecting with this group. So I thought that maybe going this way, feeling this way, trying this way, even myself might make me a better coach, might make me a better kind of leader, and that's kind of the way that we're going right now, and hopefully it'll help us out.
I know you're off social media, so I don't know how much of this gets back to you. I'm curious if you see in this year's team a whole lot more outside noise, be it from parents, coaches, from high school and AAU days, friends, and a lot of fans that seem to be in my perspective, a lot more vocal this year about telling individual players they're better than another player, they're better than their coaches allowing them to be.
Sure.
And it's pitting players against each other.
Yeah.
And some of your players, like certain tweets and stuff like that. Is some of that outside noise getting into the locker room that you feel is a detriment, and how much that's getting relayed to you when you're not on social media?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. To me, unfortunately, I'm numb to a lot of it because I don't really know and I don't pay attention. And that might be a weakness. Maybe I should do more and get into more. I talk to them all the time about blocking those things out. I mean, the pregame before Nevada, ironically, there was all the basketball stuff, and then there was all those kinds of things on the other side. And I just said, if this is the stuff that doesn't matter and this is the stuff that does, and if we can just focus on what does matter, then we'll play well. But if we're focusing on these things and referencing some of those kinds of things, then the other side doesn't even matter. So, maybe I need to get into more of that to learn how to get them to turn it off or view it in a different way. But at the same time, I think that's where not just maybe our basketball program is going, but just like society is going in general. You know what I mean? I think it's become very angry or polarizing the way we discuss our sports teams, our politics, our social issues, our religions, whatever it may be. It's obviously kind of come that way, and I think this basketball team is obviously inevitably going to be a byproduct of that as well, just because of the community that we're in, the size of the community, how important Lobo basketball is. So I think part of that comes with the territory. Part of that's something that I might have to do a better job of working through with the different parts of our program and how that may negatively impact our program. And I'll look at that a little bit more going forward. But right now, it doesn't affect my day. It doesn't affect my day with them that I'm aware of. My relationships with the guys are all very open. They're very honest. We communicate relatively frequently, so they all know. And shoot, I text them frequently about, hey, just come talk to me. Like if you ever have anything you feel like you need to say or anything that's going on, I have that. As far as I will say, it's a unique year for parents. It's been a very unique year for me, and as far as just my own kind of dealings with some of them, and that's something that I probably have to adjust to as well. I was probably parented a little bit differently, and maybe earlier in my career had different types of relationships with parents that are a little different now, and I'll continue to work through those as best I can and be the best coach I can be of this basketball team, and then coach I can be towards the young men and their parents at the same time.
Coach, you briefly talked about San Jose State's zone. What about offensively, from what you've seen so far, what can they challenge you guys on?
They got good size, and I think rebounding for us, we started the year out not so great. I thought we went through a decent stretch. Then it fell back again. Then at one point it got really good. And then now really of late at Fresno, I thought it was a huge difference in the game. San Diego State here I thought did a good job on us on the glass. And then obviously Nevada really hurt us on the glass. So our defensive rebounding is something that has to improve. It's going to be an incredible emphasis here over the next few days, particularly of today's practice. We've got to find a way to keep them off the glass with their size. They have a very good shooter in Bauman who's kind of kept them in games and put them in some places to win with some really, good individual nights. And we got to make sure we do a good job on him as well. And then we just have to get better. It's not, I think I told my staff this morning, I think part of in our preparation for opponents and all the different things that they do, we've maybe taken a little bit of an eye off of ourselves and just getting better at us individually, fundamentally, and then as a team as well. So obviously preparing for San Jose State, but also we need to just get better at some things we do, which in the rebounding category happens to be something they can do well that we're struggling with.
Coach, to the common Lobo fan out there, man, they love the Lobos. They fill up the seats. They're always with you. But some of them are very discouraged right now because they're such avid fans.
Yeah.
They want to know if hope is still alive. Do you really feel in your heart today? Can you tell the Lobo fans if you can reel off 7 or 8 in a row right now? can that begin to happen?
Yeah, I mean, the only way those work is one game at a time. So we gotta find a way to get Wednesday night. And between now and Wednesday, we just have to work really hard with a good attitude, block some of that stuff that isn't good out, worry about us, be the best we can be. Not that we're not appreciative of all of our fans or the opportunity we have, but we just have to make sure we stay connected, we stay together, and we just go out and take care of Wednesday night.
Coach, whether it's hitting the boards or playing defense out on the perimeter, all those different things, stuff that you had to revisit in the season, stuff like that.
Yep.
Have you ever had a team like this one that seemed like you have to, I mean, you always have to reemphasize what
Yeah.
you're doing, but it's just like you almost have to do the whole thing again.
I know.
It's like,
You're exactly right.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
no, we
capitalize
talk
on
about that all the time. Free throw rebounding, whatever it may be, we can't take a day off of any kind of basic fundamental of the game. And then when you get into scouting for an opponent, you're spending all this time on this and that and the other, and you haven't spent 3 days on free throw rebounding, then you give up 2 free throw offensive rebounds in the first half against Nevada. Now, part of that, quite honestly, is just it's inexperience. And I hate to say that. I don't want that to sound like anything like of an excuse or me, whatever, but they're kids and they have not played a lot of Division I games, you know, even our junior college kids. And I love them. I love Corey and I love Keith. But like this is their first go round, you know, and we don't have a lot of experience. We have obviously a couple of seniors, but the rest of these guys that are playing are all pretty much freshmen and sophomores. And it's just part of that process of them going through all this and learning and making these kind of mistakes. And I think Keith McGee's going to have a great career here. You know, I think Vance Jackson's going to have a great career here. I think McQuatch is going to have a great career here. Like, I can go down the line of guys I feel really good about. They're just sophomores and they're taking their lumps and they're making mistakes and they're on the stage and it makes maybe us not look as good as we wanted to be or the team or whatever, but it doesn't necessarily take away my faith in them or my belief in them. It's just they're going up against fifth-year seniors, you know, and these guys that are having great games and teams we're going against are just they're old kids, you know, and whether it's Jordan Caroline or Deshaun Taylor or Braxton Huggins, I can go down the line, and they're guys that have made all those mistakes, you know, and we just got to kind of keep working through it. I believe in them. I believe in us. But unfortunately, some of this is just part of that process.
I hate the green light question. I get everybody's allowed to shoot on this team.
Yeah.
There's one player in particular who doesn't seem to shoot much, and that's Drew when he's open. For him to become the point guard, the valued point guard in this system, he has to be able to shoot. Are you discouraging, or is the coaching staff in any way telling him, like, slow down on the shooting, or is that just a him thing? Right?
Yeah, quite honestly, this morning was the first conversation we've had about potentially bringing some guys in and starting to discourage some shooting. It's not something we've really told anyone to do this year outside of some of the bigs, you know, so some of the big guys at the beginning of the year with Corey, with Kareem, with guys that were kind of shooting some, we had kind of brought guys in and said, look, like, no more. But the guards, I just personally have not liked telling a kid when and when not to shoot. I don't want to mess with his confidence. But unfortunately, we're not shooting great percentages right now outside of 2 guys. So with Tone and Keith, whatever we're doing with them is working. But with the other guys, their percentages are just not where they need to be. And we're now 20-some-odd games in. This isn't necessarily the beginning of a year or a little rough patch in the middle. This is now like a season thing. So the conversations we're going to have to start exploring here going forward is going to be the when and where of some of those. I hate having them. I don't like it. I wouldn't like it happening to me, but it's something that realistically, when you look at our numbers right now, we've got to do something more about.
So that's scaling back, though, some shooting.
Exactly.
With Drew, it seems like he's passing up shots. Is that not necessarily the case, or is he being told to?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think, I don't think it's anything by us in particular. But I think, you know, he's probably trying to be a point guard and set some guys up and make some plays and things like that. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.